Time to take a coding break. Welcome back to another episode of the Coding Break Podcast with Tam Talk. I am your medical coding coach and host of the Coding Break Podcast. So today I want to talk about what to do with the coder's salary, or shall I phrase it as how to live off of a coder's salary. So in last week's episode, I briefly talked about what the job market looked like for our industry for medical coders, and so what type of salaries to expect, as well as creating a pros and cons list to when you're negotiating or you're pursuing a medical coding role. So I want to take it a step further, or to piggyback off of that, and to discuss how to live off of a coder salary. Now, I won't be going into much detail as it relates to the salary of a medical coder, because we all know the salaries vary, and as well as the role. But I did want to share with you a simple strategy for living off of a coder salary. And to be honest with you, this strategy can be applied to any industry, but because we're on the coding break and we're talking about the coding break podcast, we're going to focus specifically on the medical coding industry. So again, let's get into it. So of course, if you have a job, if you secured your medical coding role or position, and you have negotiated the salary that you want, or a livable salary. So our next step is just to kind of again, we're going back and doing some more homework where you're going to create a budget. Yes, a budget. Yes, we have to create a budget. And so, of course, we're going to base it on what our salary is, like our net income, not our gross income, because we know once taxes and insurance and investments and all of that good stuff come out, pretty much what we take home. So what is your take home pay? Is it a livable wage? And if it is, so we're going to try to live below what we're making. Yes, we're going to try to live below what we're making. And that's that's my aspect as it relates to budgeting on a medical coding salary, is to live below your means. Again, live below your means. So you know what your net pay is, and I would assume you're getting paid twice a month. So you're going to base your bring home pay, your net income, and also what your bills are. So we want to make sure we're meeting the necessities first. And what I mean by necessities, like shelter, food, clothing. Okay, we can even add transportation, but there are so many rideshare programs out there that if you can afford to ride share, or if you have a colleague that you can ride with, that will eliminate the transportation aspect, or the majority of it. I mean, you can pay gas or what have you, but again, we're going to make sure our necessities are met. Again, shelter, food, and clothing, right? And then we'll go a step further as it relates to the clothing. It doesn't have to be designer brand. It just has to be neat, clean, and just neat and clean, right? And workplace appropriate. It has to be workplace appropriate. So once you've established your net pay, or your monthly income, and you're able to meet the needs of your necessities, then pretty much you're good. So once you meet the needs of your necessities, and that falls in line to you paying yourself first. Are you paying yourself first? So of course, you want to make sure, if you're, a churchgoer, you want to make sure you're tithing. You want to make sure you're saving for your emergency funds and things of that nature. But you want to make sure your necessities are met. Once your necessities are met, then you can kind of start dabbling into, like, I call it the extraneous bills, like credit cards, student loans. I would say, any whatever else is outside of the necessities circle, the necessity list that I mentioned. So once you create that, or you've allocated funds for that, then I would recommend just saving the rest. Saving the rest. Where you save it, that's up to you. Again, I'm not, because it will vary depending on the coder, and then also the coding salary. Where you choose to save your money is up to you. But again, you want to make sure you're getting the salary that's livable for you, right? or I would say, or you're able to meet your necessities. Again, that is shelter, food, and clothing. If you're able to meet the necessities for that, then you are winning, right? And you still have some left over, you're definitely winning. And so once you again accommodate that budget for your necessities, and you're able to allocate funds for those extraneous bills, again, like credit card. I know a lot of us love to travel, so um, for your travel expenses and any other expenses that you may have that does not fall into the category of necessities, you want to make sure you have the funds to do that. And so again, honestly, that's pretty much it when it comes to living, or I don't want to say maintaining, living, surviving off of a medical coding salary. So like I said in the last episode, we talked about how to negotiate or creating a pros and cons list as relates to getting the salary that you desire or close to that, which is a livable salary if you're pursuing a medical coding role. And then once you secure the medical coding role and you have your pay, you want to make sure you're creating a budget that you're able to live with. That's going to meet your medical necessities. See how I'm talking about healthcare? But meet your necessities, and then have some where you can save for a rainy day, for any other expenses that you may have. So yeah, so that is pretty much the gist of budgeting on a coding salary. My thing is, I always try to live below my means. I try not to live to the maximum of my salary. I try to live below that, so that when situations such as what we're experiencing in today's society occurs, then we won't be as stressed, because we've already practiced living below our means. And so we should have some saved up for a rainy day, and it shouldn't affect us too much. And then I would even take it a step further about creating I don't want to say a side hustle, but finding ways to use your certification to create additional streams of income. And I've shared this information in another podcast episode, as well as on my YouTube channel, which is Code Rhetoric with Tam Talk. So if you have questions about creating side hustles or creating a different stream of income with your medical coding certification, check out my YouTube channel, where I actually break down each stream of income. And also, again, and I believe I may have created a podcast episode on that as well. So yeah, so that's all that I have for this coding break. So until the next time, code on.